So, you're having troubles with your backside 180s, huh? Well, you've come to the right video. Thanks for coming. I'm Sean Brown, and today I'm going to tell you why you can't backside 180 right now, and also the common errors that happen that prevent people from learning the backside 180. This is a little bit of the tougher 180. It's different per person, but I've had more troubles with these. But honestly, this is the more fun 180 in my opinion. So, let's get right into it and teach you how to backside 180. So before we get started with this video, I highly recommend that you watch my Why You Can't Ollie video. It's received a lot of positive feedback with teaching people how to ollie and the common mistakes that prevent people from learning how to ollie. So if you can't ollie, please watch that video first, because the backside 180 is going to be hard to do if you don't know how to ollie yet. So a link to the video will be in the card in the top right corner here, so click that if you haven't watched that yet. But if you've already watched that or you already know how to ollie, then thank you. Let's get started with it. Okay, so the most common mistakes that I see with the backside 180 is either you're jumping too far in front of you when you're trying to do the backside 180, or you can't roll away switch when you're trying to do it, or whenever you do it, you land on the nose and they slip out. That's honestly the most common one that I see and the one that I struggled with. So, like I mentioned in my frontside 180 tutorial, just to get an understanding of how the 180 is going to work with this, I want you to do this practice step. So, a lot of people, they just try to do the 180 when trying to pivot off their back truck or keeping most of their weight there. That's not really going to work. So what you're going to need to do is actually pivot off the back truck. So what's going to happen is you're going to be on your nose and then you're just going to go back. So that motion is a lot harder than the front side 180 motion. So just practice that over and over while rolling, and then just get that down, and that is basically going to be how the backside 180 is going to work. So just make sure you roll, put most of your weight here, and what you're gonna do is lift this back foot up and then just go over backwards. So the next general tip that's honestly so important for any 180 trick is you want to make sure that you use your shoulders and don't use your legs too much. Like I mentioned in the last 180 video, if you use your shoulders, your legs are gonna follow. So if I turn my shoulders here, my legs are gonna follow around. And the thing is, if I use my legs too much, I can still keep my shoulders here. I don't have to follow through. I have to do that separate. So if you use your shoulders first, your whole body's gonna turn around. So just make sure that you wind up for the backside 180 before you try it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna wind backwards and then you're gonna throw it over so you can do the trick. So like I mentioned before, leaning too far over the nose and slipping out is one of the most common things that happens with the backside 180. It was really tough to fix it. But a way that I thought of it to fix it was that it's kind of the way you shift your weight during the trick. It's not just in one direction during the whole trick. You actually have to shift it. So first you're gonna start by leaning over the nose when you're kind of bending your knees for the trick and almost halfway through the trick. And then once you reach a 90-degree rotation, that's when you're gonna actually lean back towards the tail. So what this is gonna do, this is gonna allow you to keep rolling switch and not slip out too much, because what's happening when you're slipping out over the nose is because you're leaning over your nose way too much, and that's why you're slipping out. So in order to fix that, you have to lean back towards the tail. But you can't always lean back towards the tail and do this trick, because that won't fully work. So like I said, you have to first start with leaning over the nose, and then halfway through, try to lean back over your tail. So it's kind of like throwing your weight over during the 180. So like I said, leaning over your nose and then leaning over your tail, it's almost the same concept as when you're just pivoting over the front truck without actually doing the ollie. So you see, I'm gonna lean over the front here, and then to get over, I have to lean back. Now what happens if I try to lean too far forward while I'm doing it, I'm just gonna go like this. And I feel like I don't have too much balance when doing that trick. So if you take anything away from this video, that is the most important step, to make sure you lean over the nose first. And then once you get halfway through, you're going to transfer your weight back. And as long as you keep trying to do that while you're practicing these, you're eventually going to get the backside 180. So another tip that might actually help you learn this is not required or anything, but it helped me learn it first, is you're gonna want to try to learn how to pivot sometimes. So you can either pivot the whole trick, you can do about maybe 90 degrees and then pivot the rest of the 90. So basically what you're gonna do to do that is you're gonna ollie first, and then you're gonna be turning, and you're gonna land on the front truck first, and then you're gonna throw your weight back with your back foot to kick this back and slide it. You can either slide on the ground if you have good wheels, or if that doesn't work, you can just land on it and just kind of like pivot it over. Honestly, I think the slide looks better, but either way works. So mine kind of looked ugly when I first started pivoting them. Don't worry what people say, it's a learning process. They're gonna fix it over time. You can see my backswing's got a lot better than the first ones that I might have shown. So just make sure you actually try to do this at least once, just so it can help you with the feeling of transferring your weight from the front to the back. Also, make sure to try this while rolling, because the standing still is not going to be as easy. It's easier to do this because you're going to be able to keep rolling switch. Land on my front tuck first, and then bring it back. It's a lot easier said than done, but what you're going to, way to help it is when you land on it, try to get your back foot, like your toes, to be almost on the edge of the board, so you're able to kind of slide it here. So as long as you can do that, then it's going to be a little easier to pivot it. So just kind of practice with landing on the front chuck first and then swinging it over. And then lastly, one of the mistakes I see the most is that people will lean too far over their toes when doing this trick, and they'll almost pretty much land it, but their toes will be touching the ground. And I struggled with this so much. Basically, it's almost the same concept of leaning back, but this time you're going to be leaning back over your heels when you do the rest of the 180. So if you're leaning too far over your toes, what's going to happen is you're going to be here, and you're going to touch the ground because you're leaning too far over. So basically, when you're going through the rest of the 90 degrees, same concept. When you're switching it over, you're going to be leaning on your heel side, and then you won't be able to fall too far over there. So that's a pretty simple fix for that. It's easier said than done. You just got to try to force yourself to lean over your heels if you're toe touching too much. So that about wraps it up for most of the common errors that I've seen when learning how to backside 180. I guess just another extra tip that you can do is make sure you actually try to somewhat ollie when you're doing this trick. A lot of people will just try to scrape the ground like this. Like they actually won't try to get it in the air when they're doing it. So that's just another tip, because it is called the backside 180 ollie. So yeah, actually make sure you can ollie and actually do that when you're doing the trick. So just a quick recap of some of the tricks and tips I went over. So make sure you actually practice this step where you're going to be leaning with your weight over the truck and then bring it over. So practice that step a lot just so you can get the feeling of what it feels like to roll switch after you do the backside 180. Also, make sure you focus on the weight shift as the most important thing with this trick. So you're going to lean forward over this, and then halfway through, you're going to transfer your weight back. And that's to make sure you can keep rolling switch and that you don't slip out too much over the nose when you're trying this. And then also you can try to learn how to pivot if you want to. It's completely optional. I think it helps if you're just beginning, or if you want to start to get them cleaner when you just get the basics of it. So you can try to learn that. Basically for that, you just want to make sure you either go the full 180 or 90, land on the nose, and then pull it back with your back foot like this. Easier said than done, but it just takes practice. You just got to make sure you don't give up on it, and then you'll probably be able to get it with that. And lastly, if you're leaning too far over your toes and you keep toe dragging a lot, just make sure you put your weight behind your heels and you're not leaning too far this way. So just kind of try to stand straight up and then just kind of throw yourself over. So that's going to wrap it up for the backside 180 trick tip. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If you guys need any more help, please do not hesitate to send me video attempts on Instagram at SeanBrown99. A lot of people have sent me requests to help them on their tricks, and I've helped them pretty fast. Like they take those tips and sometimes they learn it right after. Sometimes it takes like maybe a couple days and they're able to get the trick that they want. So make sure you look into that if you want some extra help. Also leave some comments down below if you have any more tips for people that helped you when learning the backside 180. And also like this video for help, and also share it with your friends, because I want to be able to help more people learn these tricks, because a lot of people suck at teaching these simple tricks online because they're just like, oh, just do this and this and this, and then it's so easy. So I just try to make sure to go over the little tips that people don't explain. So make sure you share that. And also if you didn't see the frontside 180 trick tip and you need help with that, click the card in the top right corner here, and then you'll be able to watch it. And yeah, I'm honestly talking way too much. So make sure you check all that stuff out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also turn on the post notifications if you want notifications whenever I upload a new video. So make sure you do all that stuff, and I'll really appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching. Peace.